Hello everyone, today I will be spoiling Companion. I haven't reviewed a film in a minute, but I heard some buzz about this film, so decided to see for myself. And yes, I will be making a YouTube video about the latest Severance episode, episode 4, which was phenomenal. But because it's late, I'm going to try to add a lot of nuance to it, so that's why it's taken me a little bit more time to work on that script in order to do some analysis regarding Dieter, Egan, and other stuff. But for those of you who watch my Severance videos, yes, I'll be coming out with that soon. But I spent some time watching Companion, so let me get my review out and let's go into the film outline. All right, this has a great runtime of only an hour and 37 minutes. You're not going to feel like you need to invest in a 401k because you feel like you've been employed by this film because it's taking up so much of your time. It is a cute short film with a cute short plot and great. You don't have to spend your entire evening watching it. You also have Drew Hancock as the director, and this is actually his feature film debut. Based off what I saw, I am interested in seeing what he can do in other films, so I'm hoping to see him direct in other feature films as well as other show episodes. So the cast is full of a bunch of familiar faces. It seems to be made up of actors who have had great prestige television roles but have not necessarily broken through to mainstream recognition, like an Ayo Edebiri or from Through the Bear or Anna Taylor-Joy through Queen's Gambit. So these people, I've watched most of their shows and they are huge standouts to me. So it's exciting to see them in film, and I hope that they get more acting opportunities that puts them in a higher profile position. But first, we have Sophie Thatcher. For those of you who don't know her or think they don't know her, she's in Yellow Jackets, and so she does a really awesome job in this show acting as Iris. You have Jack Quaid, who most of you probably recognize from The Boys, and of course we know who his father is, but Jack is his own person, all right? Jack Quaid it makes a really great performance here. Megan Suri in who was in Never Have I Ever. I will admit I've never watched Never Have I Ever, but I'm glad that she's able to make a transition out of that Netflix show, because sometimes I feel like a lot of actors who blow up in Netflix shows kind of get stuck in the Netflix bubble, but here we have her in Companion. Lucas Gage, one of my favorite. I saw him, my first recognized role from him was in White Lotus. He does a phenomenal job as a very small role but very vital role in that show. But he also went viral before actually appearing in White Lotus. There was, in the quarantine era, there was this audition tape, and it featured Lucas Gage in his very small studio, and one of the casting people basically saying, I couldn't live like that. That looks horrible. And so I'm glad that he was able to kind of come out of that situation where he felt like he was being judged by his living conditions, and now he's in these really high profile movies. And also I would say that he's been in a lot of shows and a lot of different movies. It's very clear that, in my opinion, he's becoming a favorite actor in Hollywood. We have Harvey Guillen. I love What We Do in the Shadows. I have watched that show an unhealthy amount of times, and it's my emotional support show. And he plays my favorite character. So I love seeing him in this film. I think he does a really great job at adding comedic energy. And I think he's the best at comedy throughout this film. So again, showing his skills. And I'm also just going to briefly shout out Jabuki, who's a comedian. I found him through Twitter when he was still on Twitter. He's no longer active on that platform, as most of us shouldn't be. But he's a great comedian, and I loved him in this role. And I like that he kind of went outside of seemingly his comfort zone, because I've seen him do voiceovers, but now he was, face acting. So that's exciting. All right, so the ideal audience is someone who wonders what a whimsical Black Mirror episode would look like if mixed with the themes of Lars and the Reels Girl. For those who don't know, that's a 2007 film that starred Ryan Gosling, and I do highly recommend that film. Actually, one of, I believe, Ryan Gosling's best performances. So there's not a lot to talk about the source material, but I want to briefly talk about the conversation around the marketing for the film. A lot of people believe that the marketing for the film ruins the film's twist. However, upon watching the film, I think that there are two major twists in the film, and the marketing team trusted the strength of the secondary twist to intrigue audience members enough. So the marketing basically told us that the twist that everyone's like, oh my god, this ruined the film. I think that twist wasn't supposed to be what we're focused on. Like, that shouldn't matter as much as the secondary twist. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in my analysis. And without further ado, let's get into spoiling this film. Okay, so this film, my film analysis won't be as detailed. Although when I wrote this out, this was super long, and I don't know why. But regardless, I just think this film doesn't want us to think too deep. So there was a lot of details that I thought I should have included, but I just decided upon writing my script, hey, the film didn't want us to care that much about it, so I'm not going to care that much about it. Anyway, Companion opens with a voiceover from Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher, who talks about how most of our life is covered in a black cloud, until we get a moment that clears the cloud, and she had two of those moments in her life. First, when she met Josh, and second, when she killed him. During this scene, in the opening scene, we see a meet cute between Iris and Josh. Josh, who's played by Jack Quaid, at a grocery store. The film then cuts to the couple driving to a lake house for a weekend getaway with friends. We see the car is automated, indicating that we are in a more technologically advanced world. The couple has a nice rapport with cute quips back and forth about their relationship and the upcoming weekend events. Once they arrive at the lake house, they marvel at its magnitude. Upon exiting the car, Iris makes a note to thank the car for its service. Before they enter the lake house, Iris has a mini panic attack about her concerns that Josh's friends don't like her. Josh dismisses her concerns, and they knock on the door, where we're introduced to Kat, who's played by Megan Surrey. While Kat enthusiastically greets Josh, she is quite cold to Iris. In the lake house, we meet another couple, Eli and Patrick. Eli is played by Harvey Guillen, and Patrick is played by Lucas Gage. Eli is the one who seems to have the connection to Josh and Kat, so they're like a three-person friend group, but we, of course, never figure out why they are friends in the first place. Anyway, Patrick is extremely nice. We can see he's very affable, and there's something a little bit, too good about him. Then we meet Sergey, Kat's married boyfriend, and the owner of the lake house, who comes and greets everyone. Later that night, the group eat dinner, where Patrick regales about meeting Eli. The story has the same meet-cute elements of Josh and Iris's meeting. When Iris tries to echo similar thoughts about her feelings for Josh, she's ignored. The group then dances and drinks the night away. The following day, Josh excuses himself from plans to hang out at the lake with Iris. He encourages her to go alone. Once at the lake, Iris finds a pocket knife in her pocket. A great place for a pocket knife to be. Sergey arrives soon after Iris, and when Iris tries to leave, Sergey pressures her to stay. He then turns their interaction sexual, explaining that Kat said Iris would be down for a sexual interaction. We then see Iris at the lake house covered in blood, where she tells the other group members that she had to kill Sergey because he forced himself on her. As she emotionally tries to explain herself, Josh shuts her down. All right, so this is the first reveal, just if you weren't paying attention, the first reveal that we get that Iris is definitively a robot. Patrick ties her up, and Josh turns her back on in order to quote-unquote tell her goodbye. This is not it. The writers just needed a place to have some exposition, and this is where it happens. He Josh basically tells Iris the whole context of her existence, how he was, what we'll learn later, how he rented her, how he kind of had a love link with her, and all these factors that make her feel as though her relationship with Josh is real and that she's not a robot. Josh is interrupted by Kat, who takes Josh aside to discuss their plan and asking why he's saying goodbye to Iris. And while they're distracted, of course, Iris is able to get to that knife and escape. While Iris runs away, Kat and Josh explain to Eli that they actually planned this whole entire thing for Iris to kill Sergey so that they could steal Sergey's $12 million cash stack in the lake house. Josh used an illegal mod to give Iris the ability to kill because killing is not an available factory setting. So if you just order yourself a robot companion, you will not be allowed to make them kill someone unless you go on one of those sketchy dark web websites to get a mod. Eli apparently can see the logic in this murder plot and agrees to help them capture Iris if he and Patrick can get a cut of the money. In this discussion, we then learn that Patrick is also a robot, which is why Kat and Josh were so insistent on only splitting the loot 3 ways. The group decides to split between Josh and Kat and Patrick and Eli to hunt Iris down. Okay, so just one question I have here. Does it really cost $0 to maintain a robot? Wouldn't the robot notice that you don't have to spend any money on them, that they're not eating or drinking or doing any of the normal human things that cost money to exist on a day-to-day basis? I guess you could shut them down while you're eating. I don't know. That was a question I also had. Anyway, While the team was arguing, Iris is trying to figure out what to do next. She left the home with Josh's phone, so she's able to adjust her settings and give herself maximum intelligence and also shut down the voice activation setting. She lands on getting to Josh's car so that she can drive home. While trying to get back to the car, she has to hide from Eli and Patrick, who are in close proximity to her. We learn that Patrick knows that he's Eli's robot, but that it didn't matter because he felt that the love was real. While speaking, Iris reveals herself and a chase ensues. While Eli is able to tackle Iris, Iris is able to get a hold of the gun Eli has and kills Eli. Iris runs to the car before Kat and Josh are able to see Eli's dead body. Iris is unable to start the car because the car does not recognize her voice. Josh finds Iris in the car and pleads with her to come out. Iris comes up with a plan to modulate her voice to get the car moving, and she's successful after running over Josh's foot. Josh comes up with the idea to use Patrick as Iris's bounty hunter. After forming a love link, Josh uses the illegal modifier to modify Patrick and to have 100% aggression. Josh is then able to use Sergey's phone to report his car stolen. Because the car is reported stolen, Iris is trapped in Josh's car on the highway. She decides that she will kick the window open to escape, which happens exactly when the police officer who Eli had called earlier passes by her. Okay, because robots cannot lie, Iris adjusts her settings so that she responds to the police officer in German. While there is a lot lost in translation, including Iris basically admitting to killing Sergey and to the events that is happening at the lake house, the police officer is able to deduce that Iris is coming from Sergey's home and offers to take Iris back to Sergey's lake house. However, as he approaches her, he notices the bloody knife in the car and proceeds to arrest her. At that moment, Patrick finds Iris and, in order to apprehend Iris, punches the police officer's face in, killing him, and then takes Josh's phones to reactivate voice control. Iris is shut down, and Patrick drives the police officer's car back to the lake house. At the lake house, Kat and Josh discover the police officer's body in the trunk. This pushes Kat to the brink, and she decides she will take the money and leave. However, Josh orders Patrick to stop her, and Patrick does stop her, but he does so by stabbing her with a large knife in the back, which kills Kat. Josh comes up with an alternate plan that involves having dinner while torturing Iris. This was kind of just like an evil villain moment. Don't really know why he did this. And I'll talk a little bit about certain weaknesses about Josh's character later. But anyway, he makes Iris put her hand over fire and shoot herself. He called the robot company to come pick her up, and he let the staff know that but then the staff let him know that Iris's memories are actually stored in her stomach. So fortunately for them, they will be able to recover all the events of the day to confirm that his tale is true. Also, during this whole entire scene, Patrick is acting as a police officer to make it seem like the police are okay with, the clearly very bloody events of that day, and so that way the company can take in the robot for recovery. Since Josh can't have them leave with Iris's memories, he has Patrick stop their company truck. Patrick is able to kill one of the staff members, but the other one is able to escape. In the trunk of the car, really the back of the car, Iris is able to reboot herself and maximize her intelligence, and she's able to save the other company staff member by telling Patrick that he is being manipulated by Josh. When she tells Patrick this, Patrick realizes he has memories of loving Eli before loving Josh, and overwhelmed with the emotional conflict, kills himself. All right. This also, by the way, there is a note by the robot company that Patrick is representative of an old model, and I assume that a lot of the weird stuff that he does, including being able to recognize that he is a robot, is part of the reason why he's a past model and not a current one. Anyway, as a thanks for saving his life, the robot company staff member, played by Jabuki, by the way, this is where Jabuki comes in, edits the software to give Iris full autonomy. Iris goes back to the lake house to get rid of Josh. While she's initially unable to kill Josh because of her underlying love for him, she is able to get him right before he kills her again. She uses an automatic wine opener, which has been used throughout the film, to kill Josh. The film ends with Iris repeating the same black cloud anecdote she had at the beginning of the film. She takes a shower, puts on new clothes, and takes a good chunk of Sergey's cash and leaves the lake house. Okay. My analysis. This film was great fun. I highly recommend watching it, particularly with friends, for an ideal viewing experience. However, I felt the film was missing something. First, I think the film would be a lot stronger if we knew more about how Josh and Kat got to the position that they were to come to, hey, let's kill your boyfriend and steal his money. The film provides a pretty flimsy reason for the murder. Essentially, it's just like, it seems like Josh just kind of independently was like, yeah, apparently, clearly, Sergey is a mob boss who needs to die because he's not that great to Kat. And also, he just so happens to have a lot of money. But yeah, it was very flimsy, which I felt could have been easily rectified by just giving more concrete motivations. And in my opinion, it didn't even have to be grand, like, oh, my mom's dying in the hospital, so I need this money. It could have just been like, bro, I just lost my job and I really could use a new start. Or maybe they feel like, life is going on without them. I mean, if you have robots of this type of intelligence, which a robot company tells us that these robots can be quote unquote as intelligent as Ivy League graduates, which as an Ivy League graduate, I could tell you means absolutely fucking nothing. And not even like a recognizable Ivy League, like the top one really. Going to an Ivy graduate, it's not going to give you a lot anyway. I just wish, you could see a situation where like these robots are basically taking over real jobs. They don't need construction workers anymore because they could just have these robots do all that work. They don't need office workers anymore because robots can do that. Like, I don't know. I feel like there could have been more integrated themes throughout here to give a motivation to Josh and Kat that I could kind of believe. And I didn't even need to empathize with them. I understand that there are truly selfish and idiotic, villainous people out there, but I just felt like I didn't know these two individuals enough to kind of be invested in their murder plot in the first place. And moreover, I wish I knew why Kat, Josh, and Eli were friends, because that would also make me further invested in their downfall. Like, these people weren't really people to me. They felt like stereotypes, which again is great for a fun movie, but I just wish I got a little bit more to be more invested in the plot. Second, considering the thin motivations behind the scheme that leads to the plot in the film, I feel like the audience deserved a bit of death. The film seems to actively avoid trying to say anything about the very obvious themes. And this is a really hard thing to do, by the way. For example, are we supposed to see the robots as humans and be told that we should give the same considerations to technology as we do to humans? What about Kat and Josh and their convoluted justifications for their murder plot? Are we supposed to think deeper about Russian racism or how the eat the rich ethos can be convoluted to justify indiscriminate violence against anyone perceived to be in a better socioeconomic position than you? What does it mean that the two characters in the show that buy robot companions are men? Are we supposed to think about why men seem the most susceptible to the technological advances that give them unfettered access to their ideal sexual partners? The film makes very clear it doesn't want the audience to think about any of these questions at all. And while I completely understand the desire to focus on the comedy and the plot of the film, it did leave me feeling disappointed and empty, that a story so rich with material can feel so soulless. In terms of marketing, I thought the secondary plot twist was that Josh orchestrated the whole murder. I personally did not expect that route and more expected the film to just be a typical the robots have gained sentience sort of thing. I think marketing made clear that we are not supposed to focus on the twist of Iris being a robot, but more so that Iris is a robot that has been manipulated to commit a murder part. Again, if the film were really able to engage in the depth of the themes that are here and very present, the movie could do more about exploring agency in the digital world and what we as humans owe to our digital creations. But again, that secondary plot twist fell flat. So that's why I think a lot of people focus on, oh my God, in the marketing, they essentially revealed that Iris is a robot. I get that, but I think the show more so wanted us invested in why would somebody program a robot to kill somebody else? Okay. Anyway, I think this film is good, just missing key elements that would make it great. Until next time, this was Strategic Delusion. Thank you, and have a great, great day.